Yeah, like, I mean, in high school, I didn't know anybody that had a business or had a side hustle. It was very just, I played sports, I did well in my classes, and then I worked hard at those things, but I never really had that passion project, you know?
Yeah.
And once I got exposure to some kids that were doing it, I just got sucked in so much because my frame was so broke. Because it's like when you walk into the gym and you see someone benching more than you had ever saw before at your age, you're like, damn, like it's possible, you know?
It's a perspective change.
Yeah, it resets your whole mindset on it. So, I mean, I just want to be able to bring those stories to people that maybe not, that freshman that doesn't have the natural exposure to it. You know, is it somewhat of the same?
Yeah, I feel like mine's kind of the same. We started it just saying we wanted to start a podcast, but then we're like, no, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right, and we're gonna do it more than just like going on the mic and talking about some random bullshit, and something that was actually interesting to us. And I think both of us really want to influence like the younger freshmen. Now, I guess we can say that now as sophomores. Last year we were freshmen, we probably couldn't say that, but then it was like we want to influence like kids who are like our younger high school selves. So I think what he said is pretty spot on, but then also just like hammering in that we really like the idea of being able to influence the younger people.
And it's a great vehicle to just like have cool conversations.
Yeah. Well, I've heard a lot of like podcasters say it's just a great way to like increase your network, you know, and like half it's networking. Like I had no exposure to entrepreneurship at all.
Yeah.
And then I started the business. The business going into junior year.
Okay.
Had no idea what I was doing with entrepreneurship. I was on LinkedIn and I saw this guy who was from my hometown, recent Michigan grad, and he was doing cool stuff. So I just reached out. I was like, hey, can I talk to you? We set up a phone call. I talked to him for 20 minutes. He introduced me to the guy that was running this thing. I went to one. And then literally in that first one, I learned how to incorporate an LLC. I learned about all the opportunities here in Michigan. And then now, like, you know, like a year and a half later, it's like I become like just so ingrained in the entrepreneurship community. But, you know, in high school, freshman, sophomore year, never ever thought about like entrepreneurship at all.
It's crazy once you get exposure to it, how much it just switches your perspective on everything. Because like you were saying with, now I know how to set up an LLC. Now I know maybe that person across the room knows a lot about Google ads, knows a lot about Facebook ads. Yeah. Maybe they know a lot about content creation because they have this huge following. And it just accelerates your growth so much to be in those rooms, whether it's like the subconscious, I want to be where they're at, or it's the more practical, hey, they know how to do this and I don't know how to do that. And like that's powerful.
Yeah.
But I know you mentioned the business.
Yeah.
What are you up to? What's I guess your like big thing right now?
Yeah. So it was I've only ever had one big thing. I told you I'm not like an entrepreneur. I had one idea and I was like, I kind of had this epiphany that there's like, you know, there's billions of people on earth. Like every idea you can have has been had, but how many people like go out and try to like actually do it? So I was like, I might as well give it a try. And so the idea came, I was following email newsletters, just staying informed. I was applying to like financial internships and I really like staying informed. So I tried to get my friends and family involved, but you know, they complained that they didn't like opening their email every morning. It took too much time. It was boring. They didn't like to read. So I was like, all right, how can I make this better? And so I was kind of like, messing around with my friends on the 4th of July and we were like, yo, we should start a business. And so I pitched this idea, let's make an easier way to follow the news. They all hated it, but I was like, I'll give it a shot. So the business is Current 2, and what we do is we send a free text message every morning, and then that contains a short audio recap of the news. So it's 2 minutes, and we started with just doing general news, so it was 2 minutes on general news. We expanded to do general news and then also a 2-minute recap of the biggest story of the day, so more of a deep dive. And then now we've grown the team quite a bit, and so now we're doing targeted recaps of business, sports, politics, and entertainment.
What voice do you use?
Yeah.
So I know it's a very like niche question, but we were just talking to Miles, and I mean he's like building like the whole thing, and he was talking about like LLMs and like language models. Yeah. Like what voice do you use?
Well, so for the first year and a half of the business, it was just me. I'm a sole founder, and I've talked to people about being a partner founder. Sometimes I don't like it, but I've also found that everyone I've tried to bring on in that capacity, it's like sometimes they don't really have the same drive and motivation and ambition for the business. But the first year and a half, it was me. It was like researching, writing, recording, doing it all.
Yeah.
But then I outsourced it. It was over the summer, and one of my longtime old friends from camp, like since like 9 years old, called me. We just started talking about Current 2. And he was like, if there's ever an opportunity to join and be the voice, I'd love to. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, I would love to offset this. So we got him doing the voice for a bunch of them. And then also we outsourced our sports column to this awesome guy. He's got a huge following on TikTok and Instagram. And so he's not only doing writing and research, but he's also now our second voice. But as far as like LLMs go and AI, when I was abroad, I was still doing this. So I was traveling with my microphone everywhere. I was staying in a hostel in London, and I had to train 11 labs to do a voice clone of me. And so for a week, we had an AI voice. And for the first 4 days, nobody noticed. And then on the fourth day, my mom called me, and she was like, "Is it still you doing the current two, or is it somebody else?" She didn't even realize. So I think the future is going to be a lot of AI, but for right now, we're sticking with people.
If your mom's not really noticing, you got to know that it's a pretty good AI,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So that's
I think that's the ultimate test.
Right, yeah.
What I had a question. Oh wait, what's the TikTok here? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's called Give Me Five. Shout out Give Me Five.
Okay.
So the Give Me Five pod, they do sketches on kind of like random funny topics. They've blown up a few times really big.
I would imagine I've probably seen them. Right, yeah. Probably. It's one of those. Probably, I feel like if you show me right after this,
yeah, I'll show you.
I probably do recognize him.
Yeah, no, he's he's got a great voice, and I'm really excited to work with him. But he's also done a lot of sports stuff in the past. He's been like a host for his high school football teams. He worked at Fox last summer, and he's also just another guy that wants to get his voice out there. And one of the goals for me now with Current 2 is to be a platform for people. So. Like in the future, 100%, we're going to have AI coming in, but also there's so many content creators on Instagram and TikTok that I think we can work with and partner with to bring them onto our platform and then just repurpose the content they're already doing.
So you did the voicing at the beginning,
yeah,
right?
for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say you have like a great news voice. I don't know why I'm getting that. But it fits pretty well.
Yeah,
but
it does. You have a very projecting voice. So
funny. When I was younger, I was in speech therapy for like 4 years. I think my mom would die to hear that, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I actually when I first started the business, the very first thing I did was I brought on one of my fraternity brothers who's done some like podcasting, and I was like, I need a voice. He did it for a while, but it didn't work out, so I was like, I guess I have to do it myself. And I did it for like a year and a half, so it worked out.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
With taking that first step, it was just you and your buddies, like saying like around 4th of July, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what actually? Have you always been the type to like take that first step, or was that like some kind of new to you? And if it was, like, what was the driving like force?
I mean, like the idea of like entrepreneurship and starting a business, that was brand new. I've always liked because entrepreneurship is like you wear many hats. Like you gotta be a leader in some ways. You gotta be kind of pragmatic about things. You have to be very proactive. And I feel like I had traits that were conducive to going into entrepreneurship, but I never thought about it. My plan was always just kind of go into business. I'm like next year I do have a job lined up that I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm going to do Current 2 as well. But to be an entrepreneur would be a dream come true.
Yeah, I'd imagine, because I know that when did you actually come to the first hangout like here?
I'm
just trying to get the context of.
First semester junior year. So
and then you founded this. When was it?
So I founded this in July of 2022 and incorporated in October.
Okay. And then you're a senior now?
Yeah.
I take it? Okay. So do you think that there was like some correlation, like once you got around this group, that it like really like set the rocket off of like, okay, I'm really going to put the foot down on the gas now?
Well, it was this group that introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship. I became an entrepreneur because I had a business, but the whole business was me reading the news, writing a script, and then just kind of like producing the audio. But then after coming here, I realized the value of a network. So like to build out the mass tech software that we're using, I reached out again to another fraternity buddy, and I was like, hey, can we code this out? And we spent 2 months building it out together. So I realized the value of networks, but I also realized the value of being in Michigan. And like I participated in a number of programs they have here, and not only have those provided funding through like grants and stuff, but also like they always have entrepreneurship office hours and just kind of asking the right questions. And I was even talking to somebody today, and he's like making a for-sale product, and I gave him a quick suggestion, and he was like, "Wow, that's so simple, but I haven't thought about it." It's like success in business. It's a lot of simple things, but it's like you're not going to think of every one. It's making. Or it's like that Miles Teller quote, like it's really that simple. It's just like do the right things and do them consistently.
Yeah, there's you know who Alex Ramosi is?
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, no, I did too. Yeah. He always has that thing that he talks about of like just maximization versus optimization, which is the whole thing of okay, you could have that 3-hour morning routine. So maybe your output per unit of time is greater after it's all done because your dopamine's high because you did a cold plunge, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Every morning.
But that's 3 hours that like you could have been doing work and getting stuff done. So there is a lot of value in maybe doing that cold plunge that takes 15 minutes because you get so much more work done after. But at the same time, just sheer reps and brute forcing and like, okay, I'm going to work on this for 10 hours today or whatever it may be can just go like so far, like over time. And I mean, that's one thing that we've realized with this is like we put in a year, but there's so much more that we have to do to get better. And at the same time, it's been a year and we've made so much progress. And when it comes to just like sheer reps, that's something you got to remind yourself in the back of your head, like being patient because like, damn, like it is going to take a while.
Well, like where Mosey says, measure in hundreds, you know? Like, but also the best conditions to start are to just start. So the fact that you guys started this a year ago, I know it's also like the old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. It's like you guys started a year ago and you were a year ahead of where you'd be if you start. Like, there's so much value to that compounding. And also starting when you're like, what year are you guys?
Sophomores.
Yeah, you're sophomores. You know, like that's awesome. You guys are like, by the time you guys are seniors, you would have had exponentially more time doing this than I would have had doing my thing. Just because that extra year just compounds in value. But then also, by the way, the cold plunge. Me and my buddies grabbed one, and I do it every morning. And the reason why is because it sucks, and it's like it is the worst thing I'll do all day. So no matter what after that, whatever I have to do, it's like all right, like I've already done the hardest thing of today.
Oh yeah,
that's a smart mentality. Yeah,
that and runs. It's like once you get your workout. It's like if you get your workout done, it's like oh like I can send this cold email. Like this is nothing compared to that.
Definitely.
But I know you got to leave, but we'll wrap up with one little quick thing. If you had some like quick message to maybe that freshman or whoever it may be that's a little hesitant to start, I guess, what would you say? It could be like tactical and strategical of like set up the LLC, or it could be something more abstract or philosophical or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I'd say that a lot of people don't start something because they try to think it all out and they're like, I need this perfect plan. Or also there's just like, whatever you're starting, there's always going to be a lot of haziness at first. And I was actually being interviewed recently and I kind of said the same thing and I really like it. I'll say it again, but it's, you got to walk a little further to see a little farther. And it's like, again, you just have to start because once you start, you learn. And then with that, you adjust, you pivot, and you keep going. You're not going to have the whole plan from day one, but if you have a little something, just start it. See where it brings you. And then from there, reevaluate and move forward. You know?
Perfect.
That's good advice.
Yes, sir. Well, I know you got to get out of here.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course.
It was good meeting you guys.